Have you ever walked into your elderly loved one's room? Maybe it's your mom's bedroom, or your grandfather's favorite chair in the corner of the living room, and you're hit with a smell? Not strong. Not filthy. But odd. Subtle. Lingering. Like something that's been in the air for a while, but you can't quite put your finger on it. You check the trash. You check the bathroom. You even wonder if it's something you stepped in. But everything seems clean. Still, that scent stays. Now let me ask you something real. Have you ever felt that quiet worry creep into your chest? That whisper in your mind that says, is this normal? Is something wrong? Am I missing something? Because you're not crazy for wondering. And you're definitely not alone. The truth is, there's a very specific odor that tends to show up as people get older, a scent most people don't talk about. Not because they're being cruel, but because they just don't know it has a name. Or a cause. Or a simple solution. See, it's not about dirty living. It's not about neglect. It's about biology. Aging. Skin. Time. And yes, one particular spot on the body that almost nobody thinks to wash properly. This video? It's not just about odor. It's about dignity. It's about care. It's about giving your aging loved one the comfort they deserve without making them feel ashamed. Because here's the truth, that unfamiliar smell you noticed. It could be the first sign that something's being missed in their hygiene. And what starts as a faint scent, could lead to skin problems, infections, or feelings of embarrassment your loved one is too proud to speak about. But you can change that, today. In this video, you're going to learn what that smell actually is, why it happens as we age, the single most forgotten spot on the body that contributes to it, and how you, gently, lovingly, can fix it without hurting anyone's pride. And listen. If you've ever walked into your parents' home, your aunt's apartment, your granddad's room, and caught a scent that made you pause, let me know in the comments by typing, "I've noticed it too." You'd be surprised how many others have been through the same thing and never said a word. And if you care about giving our elders the respect they've earned, the comfort they need, and the kindness they deserve, then stick around. Hit that subscribe button for more from Elderly Wisdom Guide. Because this channel is here for people like you. Now let's talk about that hidden spot, and what most people get wrong. Let's dive in. Let me tell you about Mary. Mary's 73. A retired nurse. A woman who spent her whole life caring for others, giving sponge baths, adjusting 4 lines, gently cleaning up messes with a calm grace only experience can bring. She was meticulous. Clean home. Crisp white sheets. Still folds her laundry with hospital corners. But something had changed. Her daughter, Sarah, had come over for a weekend visit. They laughed, they talked, they shared tea, just like always. But as Sarah bent down to grab something near Mary's armchair, she caught a smell. It wasn't foul. It wasn't strong. But it lingered. Like an old book left open too long. Or a faint mustiness carried on warm air. She lit candles. She washed the throw pillows. She vacuumed under the seat cushions, sprayed the curtains, even swapped out the rug. But that scent stayed. Every time she walked past Mary's favorite spot, it was there. So, she started to worry. And here's where most people go wrong. They assume it must be poor hygiene. That maybe mom's forgetting to bathe. That maybe she's slipping. But no. Mary was bathing. Every day. Like clockwork. The problem wasn't the routine. It was biology. Something even Mary, the nurse, didn't know. As we get older, our bodies change in ways no one really prepares us for. See, starting around age 40 and up. Especially into the 60 and 70, our skin begins to release a compound called 2-nonenal. It's totally natural. It forms as fatty acids on our skin break down. The problem? This compound doesn't dissolve easily in water. It clings. Unlike regular sweat or dirt, which you can rinse off with soap, 2-nonenal is oil-based. That means it sticks to skin folds, to clothes, to fabric fibers in chairs and bedding. And the older we get, the slower our skin regenerates. Dead skin cells stay longer. Natural oils build up faster. Hormonal shifts make the skin thinner, drier, and yet, somehow oilier in specific places. So, what does that mean? It means even the cleanest, most organized elder can start to develop this scent. Not because they're dirty. Not because they're declining. But because no one told them, or their family, about this. That's why people like Sarah walk into homes and wonder what's changed. They notice a difference in the air, but they don't know where it's coming from. And here's the key that most caregivers and even healthcare aides overlook. It's not just about taking a shower. It's where you clean, and how. There's one spot on the body that almost everyone misses. Even the most thorough person. The back of the neck. It's easy to ignore. It's not visible. It's not sweaty like the underarms. But it has active oil glands, and over time, it becomes a magnet for 2-nonenal. Especially if the person spends a lot of time sitting or lying down. That oil rubs off onto chairs, pillowcases, collars, and stays there. So, here's what you do: you don't need harsh scrubbing. You don't need fancy products. Just a soft, warm cloth, a gentle pH-balanced cleanser, and a little bit of love. Gently wipe the back of the neck, every day or every other day, especially around the hairline, the base of the skull, behind the ears. Then pat dry. No rubbing. No friction. It takes less than a minute. But it can make your loved one feel refreshed, comfortable, and most importantly, confident. Because when that odor fades, something else rises in its place: dignity. But don't stop there. Because the neck isn't the only place where these odor compounds like to hide. There's another spot, one most people would never think to check. Now let me tell you about George. George is 81. He used to be a mechanic, hands always greasy, shirt always tucked in, always moving. These days, he's a little slower. His knees ache, and he needs help with daily things like bathing. His grandson Mark, who's in his 20s, helps out when the home aide isn't around. Mark's a good kid. He means well. But like a lot of young men helping older family members, he avoids the awkward spots. You know the ones I mean. He'd help George wash his arms, legs, back, sometimes even his feet. But when it came to certain areas, under the belly, around the groin, behind the knees, he'd kind of rush past it. And George, proud as he is, never said a word. But then came the rashes. First under the belly fold. Then in the groin. Then the skin behind the knees started to look red, flaky, even broken in some spots. A faint smell followed, a warm, musty scent, like something left out in a humid room too long. At first, Mark thought it was just a soap reaction. Maybe something in the laundry. But no, this wasn't about fabric. It was about forgotten skin. Here's what many people don't realize. As we age, the structure of our skin changes. It becomes thinner, more delicate, and loses elasticity. That means skin starts to fold more easily, especially in areas like the abdomen, under the arms, and between the thighs. And in those creases, you get moisture. You get friction. And you get bacteria. It's the perfect storm. Warmth, dampness, and trapped oil, all combining into an invisible recipe for skin irritation, odor, and infections. These areas aren't visible at first glance. And that's the trap. You look at someone, arms, face, hands, they seem clean. But underneath that belly fold? Between the groin and thighs? The sides of the breasts? Those places stay damp longer, even after a shower. And if not cleaned and dried properly, they become breeding grounds. People think odor comes from poor washing. But really, it often comes from incomplete washing. We're taught to focus on the parts we can see. The obvious spots. But bacteria doesn't care about that. It settles in the dark, hidden places, where the skin touches skin. And for elderly folks who may sit for long periods, or have limited mobility, those folds don't air out easily. They stay closed. Warm. Moist. And that's when the problems start. But here's the good news, it's fixable. It's simple. It's gentle. You don't need to scrub or irritate the skin. In fact, you shouldn't. Here's what works: use a soft washcloth and a mild, pH-balanced soap, the kind designed for sensitive skin. Warm water. No hot scalding, just soothing warmth. Then, very gently, clean inside those folds. Take your time. Speak gently. Let your loved one know what you're doing. This isn't just care, it's connection. After cleansing, use a dry, soft towel to pat those areas dry. Don't rub. Don't press too hard. You want dry, but not irritated. If needed, you can use a bit of fragrance-free cornstarch-based powder or moisture-absorbing cloths, especially in warmer climates where sweating happens more often. Now, I know for some people, these areas feel too private. Too sensitive. But listen, dignity doesn't disappear in old age. In fact, it becomes even more precious. Helping someone feel fresh, clean, and free from irritation is one of the greatest gifts you can give them. George didn't need antibiotics. He didn't need new soap. He just needed someone willing to care for the whole body, even the parts we don't talk about. And after a week of proper cleansing, the rash faded. The odor disappeared. And George smiled again. Now that we've talked about those easily forgotten crease zones, the parts hidden in plain sight, let's shift to something else you might be doing every day, without even knowing it's making the odor worse. It has nothing to do with soap or skin. It's in the laundry. Let's talk about Lillian. She's 76 years old, widowed, sweet as pie, and still loves baking every Sunday morning. Always dressed neatly, always smells of lavender lotion, and she's the type who would never leave the house without fixing her hair. Lillian takes pride in staying clean. She changes her clothes every day, sometimes even twice. She showers regularly. Keeps her home spotless. But her daughter, Natalie, started noticing something odd. Every time she visited, there was a musty smell in the bedroom. Not overpowering. Not foul. Just stale. Like something that had soaked in and settled deep. Natalie checked the usual suspects, the laundry hamper, the bathroom, even the carpet. Nothing stood out. Until one afternoon, while changing the sheets, she leaned close to fluff the pillow and noticed the scent was strongest right there, on the pillowcase, and on Lillian's favorite flannel pajamas. See, here's the part most people miss: even if your loved one is washing regularly, even if they're staying clean and dressing fresh, the fabrics around them may not be. Let me explain. As people age, their skin naturally releases more oil-based compounds, like 2-nonenal, the same one we mentioned earlier. This compound doesn't just stay on the skin. It clings to fabrics, especially warm, absorbent ones like flannel, cotton, or synthetic blends. And think about this: how many times have you worn a favorite shirt or pair of pajamas that felt clean, but the smell just wouldn't go away? That's because odors don't always rinse out with one wash. Especially if the fabric has been absorbing them night after night, week after week. For seniors who may spend more time in bed, resting, or sitting in one chair throughout the day, their clothing and bedding become secondary skin, absorbing oils, sweat, skin cells, and yes, those invisible odor molecules. And here's the kicker, washing once a week may not be enough. It sounds strange, I know. But clothes, pajamas, pillowcases, sheets, they can all trap lingering odors even if they look clean and feel fresh. Especially when washed on cold cycles or with gentle detergent alone. Now, this doesn't mean you need to scrub every sock with a toothbrush. It just means adjusting a few small habits. Here's what helps: add white vinegar or baking soda to the rinse cycle. These aren't just old-school tricks, they neutralize odor-causing compounds without leaving behind strong perfumes. Vinegar, in particular, helps break down oils stuck in fabric fibers. Wash bedding and clothes in hot water, when the fabric allows it. High temperatures help lift those oily residues out of the fabric where cold water can't. Rotate pajamas frequently. Instead of wearing the same cozy set every night for a week, try switching them out every 2 or 3 nights. Let them breathe. Give them a chance to release what they've held in. Consider sun-drying when possible. There's something magical about sunlight. Not only does it help kill bacteria, but it gives fabric that fresh, clean feeling no dryer sheet can replicate. And don't forget the mattress. Over the years, it absorbs everything, from sweat to skin oils to airborne particles. Using a washable mattress protector and vacuuming the mattress surface monthly can make a huge difference. Now, let's go back to Lillian. When Natalie switched to washing her mom's pajamas with vinegar, rotating them more often, and airing out the bedding a few extra times a week, that smell slowly faded. And Lillian? She didn't feel embarrassed anymore. She didn't worry when guests dropped by. She felt clean again. Whole again. So sometimes, it's not about the body, it's about the fabric that hugs it. Now that we've addressed all these physical, external causes, let's look inward. Because there's another factor that shapes body odor in older adults, and it's what we put inside the body. Let's talk about the role of medications and diet, and how they quietly affect the way a person smells. Now let me introduce you to Walter. Walter is 79. A widower. Once a hard-working postman who walked miles every day, now he spends most of his time in a recliner by the window, flipping through old photo albums and sipping on sweet tea. He's diabetic, takes his meds like clockwork, and keeps a routine most people would admire. But something shifted. His homemaid, Teresa, began noticing a strange odor during morning care. Not the usual musty scent we've talked about. This was different. Sharper. Almost metallic. And no matter how much she cleaned him, no matter how fresh the towels were, it lingered. At first, she wondered if it was hygiene. Maybe something in his bedding. Maybe a missed spot. But Walter was clean. He was compliant. He even used fragrance-free soap and wore cotton clothes. So, what was it? The answer wasn't on the outside. It was on the inside. You see, certain medications, especially those used to manage diabetes, high blood pressure, heart conditions, or even depression, can change how the body smells. They don't just adjust blood sugar or pressure, they alter how the body breaks down nutrients, how it detoxifies, and even how it eliminates waste through sweat. And when that system is off, even just a little, you get subtle shifts in body chemistry. Now add in diet. A lot of seniors, understandably, gravitate toward comfort foods. Things that are easy to chew, simple to prepare, or just familiar. But these meals are often low in fiber, low in hydration, and high in sodium or preservatives. And here's the thing. When the body doesn't get enough water, when it's backed up with too many processed foods, or lacking in fresh, cleansing nutrients, the detox pathways, like the liver, kidneys, and even the skin, have to work overtime. That extra burden can show up in surprising ways: a sour or pungent smell to the sweat, a metallic edge to the breath or skin, or a general mustiness that no soap seems to fix. And this is where many families fall into a trap. They say, well, he's just getting older. Or, that's just how she smells now. But no, it's not just aging. Sometimes, it's a whisper from the body, asking for help. So, what can you do? First, hydration is key. Older adults often don't feel thirsty, even when they're mildly dehydrated. Keep a water bottle nearby. Offer herbal teas, broths, or even water-rich fruits like watermelon or cucumber. Second, review medications, gently, respectfully, with a pharmacist or doctor. Ask if any prescriptions might alter body odor or interact with metabolism. Sometimes a simple adjustment can make a huge difference. Third, focus on food. It doesn't have to be a full diet overhaul. Just small steps, add a handful of leafy greens, a serving of berries, or a splash of lemon water. These are natural detoxifiers. They support liver function. They help cleanse the skin from the inside out. Even a few minor changes in what goes on the plate can influence how the body smells over time. And Walter? Once Teresa encouraged him to drink more water, switch out one processed snack for a bowl of mixed greens, and double-checked his meds with the doctor. That metallic smell? Gone. He still sits in that recliner by the window. Still flips through photo albums. But now, the air around him smells clean, peaceful, like him, not like his medicine. So, remember, sometimes the odor you're noticing isn't about what's on the skin. It's about what's flowing through it. And now, we've talked about the skin. We've talked about the clothes, the bedding, even the food and the medicine. But there's still one last culprit. And this one might surprise you most of all. It's something almost no one ever remembers to clean. Yet it touches your loved one every single day. Let me tell you about Diane and her Uncle Bill. Bill is 84. A proud veteran, stiff in the joints but stubborn in spirit. He walks with a cane, wears a soft neck brace, and uses a Velcro support belt around his midsection to help with posture and back pain. Diane, his niece, visits twice a week to help with dinner, laundry, and nightly routines. One night, as she helped Uncle Bill unstrap his belt and lift off his neck brace, she noticed it. The smell was strongest right then. Sharp, sour, and strangely familiar. Not from his skin, not from his clothes. But from the things meant to help him. That was the light bulb moment. Because what no one told Diane, and what no one tells most caregivers, is that assistive devices aren't just tools. They're skin extensions. They press, rub, and sit directly against the body all day long. And yet, they're rarely cleaned. Think about it. A cane grip, wrapped in rubber or foam, held for hours, day after day. A walker frame, resting against sweaty palms. A neck brace, tight around the skin with zero airflow. Compression socks, worn all day, every day, soaked with skin oil, moisture, and friction. These things absorb. They collect sweat. They trap skin cells. And over time, they smell, not because of neglect, but because no one thinks to clean them. Most people assume these devices are low maintenance. That they don't need care. After all, they're not clothes, right? But let me ask you something simple. Would you wear the same t-shirt for 6 days straight without washing it? Would you keep wrapping the same band around your midsection, day after day, without even a wipe down? Of course not. But that's what happens with many assistive items, because people just don't know better. And yet, these devices sit right up against the skin for hours. They trap body heat. They absorb oils. And over time, they become a source of persistent odor. One that doesn't wash off with a bath. So, what's the fix? It's simple. Gentle. Consistent. Wipe down all assistive devices once a week using warm water and a mild, non-abrasive soap. Focus on foam handles, braces, belt linings, anywhere that touches the skin. Let them air dry completely before using them again. Moisture is the perfect home for odor-causing bacteria. If the device has fabric parts, like cushion covers or compression socks, check the labels. Many are machine washable, and some may need to be replaced periodically if the material becomes too worn or smells persist even after cleaning. For braces or belts with Velcro, brush out the lint, then give them a gentle scrub. These little steps, barely 10 minutes a week, can make a world of difference in comfort, odor control, and even the emotional well-being of your loved one. Because here's the deeper truth most people don't talk about. When someone feels like they carry a smell, when they notice others backing away or lighting a candle too quickly, it chips away at something sacred, dignity. And sometimes, the cause isn't age. It's not memory. It's not even hygiene. It's something as simple, and as fixable, as an unwashed cane handle or a sweat-stained back brace. So, if you've noticed a persistent scent and nothing seems to help, don't forget the tools, the fabric, the braces. They may be silent, but they hold the clues. Now, we've covered the physical, the diet, the skin, the clothes, even the cane by the bedside. But under all this, behind the odors and overlooked routines, lies something deeper. Something emotional. Something that every caregiver, every child, every loved one must face, whether they're ready or not. Now let's pause for a moment, and talk about something that's not physical. Not skin. Not clothes. Not soap or sweat. Let's talk about how it feels. Because for many seniors, personal odor, whether they're aware of it or not, slowly becomes a source of shame. They may not say it out loud, but they feel it. They feel it when a grandchild pulls away from a hug just a little too soon. When a visitor shifts the window open before they sit down. When the room goes quiet as someone lights a scented candle right after they leave it. They notice. Even if they pretend not to. Even if they joke about smelling like old people. Deep down, it hurts. And that hurt? It doesn't come from the smell. It comes from the feeling of being less than, of being seen as a problem, instead of a person. But here's where we shift the lens. This isn't about blaming anyone. This isn't about making our elders feel embarrassed, or like they've failed. It's about something bigger, respect. It's about restoring dignity with small, loving steps. It's about creating a world where aging isn't hidden or tiptoed around, it's understood. It's honored. Because when we take just 10 minutes. 10 minutes to gently wipe the back of the neck. 10 minutes to check under a belly fold. 10 minutes to freshen up a pair of pajamas or wipe down a walker grip. We're not just cleaning. We're healing something deeper. We're saying, you matter enough for me to notice. You matter enough for me to care gently, not just medically. So, here's what I encourage you to do today, take 10 minutes. Not tomorrow. Today. Whether you're caring for a parent, an aunt, a neighbor, or even yourself, choose one small act of attentive care. Wipe down a brace. Wash a favorite shirt. Clean behind the ears. It might seem like nothing. But to someone who's felt quietly self-conscious, who's withdrawn because of something they don't fully understand, that one act could brighten their entire week. Because dignity doesn't come from grand gestures. It comes from being seen. Aging isn't something to be hidden away. It's not something to fear. It's something we walk through together, with gentleness, knowledge, and compassion. And when we do that, we make every year count. Not just the early ones. Let's quickly recap what we've uncovered today. 1. That strange odor you've noticed. It often starts with 2 noninal, an oil-based compound that builds up on the back of the neck and behind the ears. 2. Then there are the forgotten crease zones, under the breasts, belly folds, groin. Places that hide moisture, bacteria, and odor if we're not paying attention. 3. Even freshly cleaned elders may still carry odor from old bedding or favorite clothes, which trap oils deep in the fabric. 4. And the inside matters too. Diet and medications can change body chemistry in ways that no soap can fix. 5. Finally, we can't forget the unwashed assistive devices, canes, braces, compression socks, that press against the skin every day, quietly absorbing what we never think to clean. If you're noticing any of these in someone you love, or even in your own care routine, take action now. It doesn't have to be big. Even starting with a gentle conversation is a powerful first step. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these surprised you the most? Was it the back of the neck? The pajamas? Or maybe the diet and medications? Or, maybe you've experienced it firsthand with a parent, grandparent, or client. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. This channel isn't just me talking, it's us, building something respectful and real. And if this opened your eyes to something new, if it gave you a better way to care, or even just more understanding, please like the video and subscribe to Elderly Wisdom Guide. It helps us reach more families, more caregivers, more kind-hearted people who want to age, and help others age, with grace. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening, for caring, and for showing up. Not just for the people you love, but for yourself. Let's keep building a world where growing older means growing wiser. Not being forgotten. I'll see you in the next video. And until then, stay kind. Stay curious. And take care of each other.